Hey guys, so what you have on the screen right now is a 3D model of this 2D anime character that I found. It's the new wave of anime called Shangri-La Frontier. It's a vorpal bunny, and it's pretty much like the main assistant for the protagonist of the show. But simple, to the point, I wanted to come on here and talk about my journey a little bit and touch upon what I'm doing, as well as while I'm painting this 3D model. Like for instance, right now I'm doing a low to high workflow where I could explain it to you. It'd be great. But there's plenty of other YouTube videos where you can find, oh man, this is how to do it properly. But I'm just going to show you how I did my process and how I painted it. Of course, a lot of people would be like, yo, that's too many polygons to be considered a low polygon. And I'm like, dude, at the end of the day, who cares? If it performs well within a game or if it's just a model to be rendered, I understand. But when it's coming to be a main character and low polygons to be game ready, okay, then that's when I'll start focusing on how much poly counts am I using. But this one, if it looks good, call it a day. But just keep moving forward. Within this art journey, or this whole semester, I'm currently going to school for 3D modeling, and I chose the path of being a 3D generalist. Especially in this day and age, as technology is being better exponentially, you don't even know if your job is going to be there at the end of the day. I have a good feeling that many of my colleagues are freaking out for no reason. It's justified. I get it. It's a disruptive technology. Especially every industry is going to get hit. I wholeheartedly understand that. But the technology is not there yet to take the creativity away from you. In my eyes, all in the name of progression, of course. But I do see that with the use of AI, it can be used as a tool to improve your workflow. Unfortunately, I didn't use it here. I used it for like a reference, right? Like I needed to understand facial features and I couldn't find a proper facial feature. Me scouring ArtStation, Pinterest, Google, and I couldn't find a proper facial feature for a happy bunny or something relatively close. So I asked my friendly ChatGPT, I'm like, dude, render me out something. And it got me close to me getting to the next idea. Right? So I used it as a reference. Yeah, of course I could pull up the reference and show you, but there's no point because I modeled everything in the scene as well as down to the substance painter. And what you're seeing right now, I'm just going in, turning on and off certain aspects of certain materials, smart materials, and I just trying to see how it works, right? Does it need it? Does it change it? Is there a filter blur on there? Do I need to change the ratio of the normal map that's being projected onto this mesh? Or, yeah. So just changing the size of certain things, changing the rotation. But going back to what we were talking about when it comes to AI, there was a while ago, roughly like 100 students, and these are all artists going into the game industry. We're all learning all different aspects of game. Some of us are going into just modeling, environmental, VFX. Some just want to be producers. Some just want to be engine artists, technical artists. Great, cool. You put us all in a room, and it asked us a question. The question was, so what is your thoughts on AI, right? And they like told us, stand up if you're a proponent on this side of the room, and stand on this side of the room if you are against it. And so, sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. My dog is doing like backflips in the back of my roof for some reason. Anytime I start recording, he's just like, hey, let me be the most distracting thing in the room. And I love it. It's great. Maybe you can hear him snoring in the background. But yeah, so they had us all in this room and they were asking us, how do we feel about AI? And 90% of the class was against it. And we were probably like 4 or 5 of us just standing opposite to our cohort and saying we see it as a really good thing. And we didn't get an opportunity to like tell our piece because everybody else were just hitting those talking points that they've been hearing from day in, day out, saying that it's a bad thing. And I'm like, dude, it's inevitable. And in my head, I see it as like the printing press comes out. Oh no, the printing press. And then people are like, no, who cares about the printing press? I'm just going to go back to writing in my own books. You're going to be left behind. And there's many professors that worked in the industry, came back to started teaching, and are using some of these AI models to help within their workflow, either with gathering references or, hey, I have all this data set, all my art here, and I'm pouring it into this AI generator. So now it's gathering. Like, of course, you need like a lot of models, a lot of art pieces to be like, okay, I wanted to make it look like so and so. So that's what they did, right? And they're coming from the perspective of you're going to be left behind if you don't use this, because the next artist behind you is going to have all the qualities you have, understanding the traditional, all the basic foundation of being an artist, and still using the most modern technology to get the best outcome. And that's one thing I wish I can tell my cohort. You know, I do this slowly. I'm not going out there and preaching to the choir. No, I give the seed of doubt, like, hey, you can't change the world to revert back to a technology, because once the cat is outside the bag, it's not going back in. There's no way to go back from what we had before. But here we are. So going back to what I'm painting, I'm just trying out different materials and see where I'm going with it. Plug and play. This has been a while since I've touched Substance Painter, so I'm probably adding a masking option and certain materials on top, and with the certain mask that I do put on top, I can go in there, erase, or add a little painter tool and put it where I only want it in certain meshes. And there's particular ways you could do this. I don't have the best UV unwrap materials or meshes here, and I'm like, screw it, who cares? At the end of the day, as long as it look good, I might be cutting some corners here, especially on this RP. I get it, 100%. But I want to make this a 3D print, right? So I'm here thinking about overhang, thinking about how it's going to print properly. I'm not caring if the UV unwrap is perfect. I've done perfect UV unwrap in all these other models. But for the sake of production, and you're getting bombarded with daily life, everything is coming from every angle, trying to take your time away. Of course, cutting corners where you can to save some time means the world, right? Like, you got to get the job done. Nothing else matters. And this is something I'm trying to tell some of my cohort. They're trying to make things perfect. And I'm like, the mere act of this art piece being imperfect is what makes it perfect in my head. you're like a magician. No one is going to go and ask you, let me see behind the curtain, right? No, just show them the magic, make the art piece. No one's going to look at your UV unwrap. No one's going to see if the texture you used was a simple texture. Do you add an overlay on there? Why is there some sort of jitter happening? No one. As long as it looks good, nothing else matters. Okay. As long as it looks good and it works good inside of a video game, low poly counts, whatever, good, you did your job. Excuse me. But here, once again, I haven't done Substance Painter in quite a while. I did do an amazing course in CG Boost. It was a Substance Painter course, and I learned so much from that guy. If I remember that amazing professional, I'll definitely put him in the comment section. But it was so good. He gave you some models, or he allowed you to work on some models, and right there he explained everything properly, how to break it down, how to import it from, let's say, Blender and or Maya or whatever sort of 3D software you're using, ZBrush, into Adobe Substance Painter, how to export it properly, what is called what PBRs to use, how to implement all of those textures, your normals, your colors, is there how do we say it? Maybe 1 second as I look for it. All right. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, that course is amazing, and it definitely taught me 90% of what I needed to know in Substance Painter. In this university that I'm going to, they don't really dive deep on how to use it properly. But if you're good with Photoshop, you can catch on, right? It's pretty much, it feels very similar. Multiple layers, you can add masking, clip masking, you can add multiple filters on top of your material. So it feels very natural if you spent quite a long time inside of any Adobe product. But yeah, I hope to inspire many of my colleagues to, we've gone down already a few years in learning 3D modeling, 3D art, traditional art, and we understand all the rules. Now let's learn to break them. Let's bring back that creativity that we had once we were a child and we were just an abundance of ideas just flowing, right? Like we were an antenna receiving everything from the muse, and we were just jotting down crazy ideas after ideas. There's so much good ideas that I wish I wrote down throughout the years. So, and whenever that happens, I whip out the iPad, or it's a crazy dream and I just bring it up and I'm like, oh man, put it in my notes on my iPhone. I'm like, I might use this in the future. I might not touch this for X amount of years, but I hope to come back to it. And that's what I did. All the ideas that I got from the previous semester, and these were scattered throughout different multiple applications. I started taking screenshots, writing them down all in one place. And I'm excited to work on some of these. I can give you some. Here, I'll give you one right now. There's a hard surface 3D model of a construction equipment that I want to work on, right? And make it look like a Mad Max type of vehicle. But the way I want to render it, besides making it like a 3 turntable, I want to do 2 turntables of making it look like a proper machine, and then halfway you get the jitters, like the camera starts flickering and then it starts turning into the other application, showing that yes, it can be a tool to create, but also it can be used to destroy. And I'm excited for that. That one's going to be a great idea. I already started jotting down some simple ideas. But I noticed that for some of my colleagues, everybody gets to the end differently, to the end of a project. But for me, I just have to write it down in words, right? And I sketch and build in the 3D software itself. While most other people, they do gesture drawings on a pad and then they build it from there. And I'm like, yeah, I've done that process too, but I feel like at the end of the day, it just has to be super fast. Probably like a 4 or 5 minute sketch on a pad. And then it could go crazy. Like the drawing that I made for this 3D model that you see on the screen looks completely different from what I actually made. He just put me somewhat in the ballpark, and then I just went crazy from there. So I kind of see the right ideas. For reference gathering, I try to keep it limited, right? I'm not trying to get enough references where I forget what the hell I'm even making. I want to get a few, because I've been there, right? I worked on a turtle frog project where there's a knight on top of it, and I gathered so many references that I don't even know what I was doing at this point. I got them from texture, and I labeled it. This one's for inspiration, this one's for texture, this is the art style. And I was like, Jesus, this is too much. I probably could have narrowed it down to at least 7, 10, maybe 15 photos, already pushing it too much. But I had too many references. And I probably reached a point where I just should have just started making something in ZBrush, go right ahead and figure it out from there. But what really helps for some of these art projects is getting that critique. That's something that I didn't get back then as much. I didn't reach out to many of these artists, and the artists that I did reach out to show like, hey, what do you think about this so far? They weren't to the same caliber or the same level as I was, or was beyond, right? I try to now, whenever I get to a nice milestone where I'm like, okay, I rigged this character, this mesh. Now I'm posing it. I think this is a good spot. I think this is a good gesture of how I want it to be posed. Let me send it to someone who's been in the industry, an art director, whoever, someone who I have a good connection with that would tell me straight up, hey, what the hell is this? Why is this hue off? What's this proportion of this face? Like, you should probably shrink that. And they won't fluff it. They won't be like, oh, it looks good, but I think you should change. No, they'll be like, hey, you should probably change this. And those are the critiques that definitely enhance my game. And I truly appreciate that. So if I could give you any advice, if you're an artist on this journey that you're like, oh man, I don't know where to start, just start making what you're passionate about. Great, whatever it may be. If, let's say it's, I don't know, like a Disney film, and you just want to gather a few references. Start with your models, send it to someone who's a little bit better than you, and let them critique your work. And then swallow your pride, right? Because I understand you spend multiple hours on this. You spend so many hours on one art piece, and it feels like they're crushing your dream. Dude, it doesn't matter. What matters is the goal at the end of the day. The art piece at the end of the day. Because they can give you a critique, but it's going to be you putting that pencil to the canvas. It's going to be you putting that clay to that maquette. Okay? So that's the only advice I could give you. So, well, there's multiple advices, but this is one that's very prominent to me. Embrace the critiques, continue moving forward, and whatever you're passionate about, keep creating. Every aspect of your life should be revolving around your passion. Like for me, besides modeling, besides environmental design, besides doing some concept work off to the side, I'm in love with 3D printing. I truly appreciate it. I have a machine right now that's running in the background, a Saturn Ultra 4, and I calibrated it. Everything's nice, and I just had a failed print. It did get to me under my skin, and I'm like, geez. But I'm excited to figure out what went wrong, because I had a beautiful STL file ready to go. That I'm excited to put it on Etsy to see where it goes from there. Because in my head, you only need one amazing model to catch fire. Because that's definitely my goal. My ultimate goal is just to create, whatever it may be. And I'm excited. Definitely excited. Okay, so let's see where we're at on the screen itself. Oh, yeah. So I'm using stylized materials at this point. I use stylized stone. I found, oh, yeah. I probably used the masking. I found this probably this reddish material that looks like it's oxidized for the stone itself. At this point, I'm trying to figure out how to increase the size of radius of the circle. And I'm definitely losing my mind over it. So I'm just trial by error trying to figure out how to do this properly. And I think at the end, like within a minute or so, I figure it out. Looking back at some of these projects, I'm like, dude, there's so much I could have done differently. And for this Shangri-La Frontier character plus props and environment, I wanted to make it look like, oh, yes, this bunny's a magician, but I kind of wanted to do like a darker spin to it. Not until the end I started making it render out like it was like a holy book, but in my head I was thinking like, oh man, it's summoning the biggest carrot known to man, right? And when it comes to any summoning rituals, I think of it as, oh, like cultish, of the occult and stuff like that. So I was trying to do a little funny spin to it. Whenever you bring something so dark but cute at the same time, like a weird, interesting juxtaposition, it's always interesting to see, and it's kind of funny. But yeah, man, everyone's art, everyone's journey is different. I do wish I listened and learned from previous predecessors, right? Like there's some old art professors that I had very early on in like a magnet program in high school, and the drive, their discipline that they had at that age, which is probably the same age I am now, I wish I had. I definitely wish I had, and I do now. Like I'm slowly getting there. I have that discipline for exercising, which I also, one big thing I want to give to my colleagues at my school, I want them to be well-rounded. It's like the only way you can make the best art if you're physically and mentally and even possibly spiritually aligned, right? You can. Look, I've seen individuals that sacrifice everything and just have this one aspect, like where they're just physically gifted, but everything else fails. Their relationships, their place at home, like they don't have a stable foundation and they excel. But that's great, but that's also isolating. When it comes to physically being ahead of your health, right? Willing to put a little bit more hours to make sure you're like you can sit for multiple hours in a chair and it doesn't kill you, right? Because you're doing yoga, you're doing stretching, you're doing strength training throughout the week. I'm telling them that exercise is probably going to be the best thing for them, because a lot of individuals at my school, unfortunately, they deal with a lot of mental issues, right? Because when you're this talented, many of them come with a little bit of baggage, some neurodivergency, and I understand, and I love them, and I love them to my core. But if they just exercise a little bit, found a little bit of discipline, maybe once or twice a week, many of their problems will get better, in my eyes, definitely. But not to go down that rabbit hole, but that's one aspect that I wish I can keep on trying to, not impose, but I want them to discover it on their own. I'm trying to put that little seed of doubt, like, hey, You can do this. You can have the body you want, excel in the career you want, and it all comes together, right? You start working out, you start getting that little bit of discipline, life becomes a little bit easier, because from the moment you wake up and you already did the hardest thing out of your whole day, everything else, all the little problems, they're not going to get under your skin, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm no saint here. Like, I do mess up every now and then, but where I thrive is I want to make sure I'm physically fit at all times, because everything else just seems a lot easier, right? I'm willing to put more hours here in my craft because it's not as strenuous, right? I have that little bit of more energy boost. I do see a lot of my colleagues at school that just don't care about their health. They don't care about their sleep schedule. They go play multiple hours of video games throughout the night and not even care about the outcome. I'm like, dude, this is for the rest of your life. Let's see where it goes, right? Like, we only have one shot. Once again, I'm human too. I fall into those traps as well. Like, that's why I'm scared of playing some games, right? Like, Oblivion Remastered came out, and I am frightened to the core to ever play it, because I know I'm that type that once I put that video game in my hand, I'm lost. I'm putting 10,000 hours into it. Nothing else matters. Schedule 1 comes out. I'm scared, right? I played that game, and all I thought about was that game at one point. So I need to be careful. Hearthstone, Blizzard, any Blizzard game I freaking love, to be honest. But let's talk about something else, because that just makes me want to play. Oh man, I love that. But I want to impose to my friends that, like, nothing else matters but creating. That, like, in my eyes, nothing is more honorable than, like, spending a little bit of your life, right? Like, some of your life in the pursuit of trying to be the best in whatever art pursuit, whether it's in music or painting or 3D modeling or anything, all the above. I find that beautiful. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like, I look up to that. I look up to someone, once again, that some of these professors that I had, like Professor Reedy or Santa Maria, like, these guys are killing it in the industry right now. Hundreds of thousands of followers, making multiple sales online. But that's not a degree of success in my head. Like, yes, it's successful. That's great, cool. But what makes it successful is that they can create what they want. They're not limited to, like, oh, my fans only loves me making Roblox characters, or Steve. No one cares. No, they can make literally anything that they're passionate about, and people will buy it because of the amount of hours that they put. And that's one area that I want to reach. And I did see one of those professors, once they had like a kid too, they just reached a whole nother level. And I was like, wow, I'm impressed that there's definitely levels to this. I'm definitely excited. I'm probably only a few years deep into this creating aspect. But I hope. And thank God I picked this. Thank God this passion. It could have gone anywhere, right? I see individuals I used to do jujitsu with back in the day, and they picked fighting as their passion. They picked that as their daily driver, and that's scary because now you're sacrificing more of your life for things that make you happy. And I loved it, dude. I love hand-to-hand combat. I love jujitsu and competing, but my body was definitely hurting around those times. And granted, I didn't take care of myself, right? But I'm glad I picked this because I can go years, right? Like the only thing I'm probably sacrificing is my lower back, and all I gotta do is stretch and do some yoga, and I think I'll be fine. Man, nothing makes me happier than being like, I can literally make anything I put my mind to. I could bring it to existence. I could 3D print it out. You give me an idea, or I make an idea, and I can bring it to life. And that's what I find freaking beautiful. Right now, I look back, what's on the screen of me making this carrot, adding materials, the smart materials on it. And I know for a fact that I probably went through multiple materials, and I forgot that carrots are not this shiny. I probably had a mental fart or something, but carrots are definitely not this shiny. And I fixed it later down the line through reducing the roughness. So it just dilutes this amount of light bounce. But granted, maybe if I did leave that light bounce, the little shine, it could possibly make it look more stylized, like it's from a 2D animation, like it's from Shangri-La Frontier. But this was a really fun 3D model and 3D print, like not 3D print, 3D design and paint to do. It was pretty fun. I really enjoyed it because I not only really enjoyed the show, right, but every time I reached a point, right, when I was modeling the bunny, I was just laughing to myself like, oh man, I made this look really cute. So all right, that's what we'll leave it for now. I'll show you the end product pretty soon. This was like a short 30 minutes, probably a little bit longer, but thank you again for listening to my rant. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. Maybe you were just there making some art in the background, and that's good enough. And I just wanted to remind you guys that, hey, you're good enough. I'll be continue creating every single day, and hopefully you can join me on this journey as well. So thank you again for your time.